Hello, everybody. This is Brother Speak at the Brother Speak podcast. So, I wanted to talk about something that was discussed in the chat yesterday on BMT's panel. You should go check it out. It was about, is the black woman a threat to your masculinity? It was a great discussion. I listened to a lot of it, but then I went to another channel and went on the panel over there. But it was a great discussion. You should go check it out. 3 hours long. Shouts out to BMT for having that discussion. But what was discussed in the chat was what was expected from black men from certain black women. One lady in particular was talking about where she expects black men to be leaders. And she was like, why the black males today are not being leaders. Well, I was telling her because it's not required. Some females out here today do not require a black male to be a leader. They may require him to be a provider, and just that. They may require him to be uh, the guy with the penis. They may require that. They may require him to be a servant in the sense of doing whatever she wants him to do. She may require him to be someone that worships her. Worships her. Sorry about that. She may require that. She may require him to be a protector. She may require him of that. She may require him to be someone to listen to her problems. She may require that. But the leadership role, it's not required. The to be faithful, it's not required. To have honor, it's not required. Now, in some cases, it's expected, but it's not required. So she asked me, what's the difference between required and expected? So I went to look. Expectation is a strong belief. Like, you expect people to be good. You expect people to be fair. You expect people to be honest. Now, that's a belief. Whereas a requirement is a want, a strong want or need. I want you to be a leader. I want you to be faithful. I want you to have honor. I want you to be a provider. I want you to be a protector. See the difference? This is something I want of you, as opposed to something that I believe of you. So I told her, I said, if you do not require something of someone, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it unless that's something that is within them. And even if it's something that is within them, if they are not required to do it, they're not going to do it. That's human nature. So I told the lady, if you don't require a man to be a leader, if you don't require a man to be faithful, If you don't require a man to be honorable, you leaving it, you expecting it of him, then you leaving it up into his hands to do any of that. And when you leave it to someone's hands, they may do it, they may not do it. You know, they but when you make it a requirement, they only have two choices. Either they're going to do it or they're not. And from what I see today, there's a lot of women who do not require a man to be a leader. They don't require a man to be a faithful person, and they don't require him to be an honorable person. They require other things, but they expect him to be a leader. And in some cases, they only expect that. You know, there are women right now that expect men to be unfaithful. They expect men to cheat. They expect men to lie. They expect men to treat them badly. That's what they expect now. See, the leadership, the faithfulness, the honor, the provider, protector role, that was something that was expected in the 50s, 60s, and 70s because the family that these men came from required them to be that because it was required of their husbands, of the fathers, the grandfathers, to be providers and protectors. That was required from the family for them to be men. So the women then expected him to be that. Now you had a few that didn't have those expectations of him, but the majority expected it because the family required it of the man. That's not the case anymore. See, a lot of the ladies want to say that the men are expecting something of the ladies in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But I venture to say that some of the women here are expecting the same thing. Those attributes was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's not the case in 2021. Give me a second. Sorry, but I had to move around a bit, get more comfortable. I would venture to say in 2021, a lot of females are not expecting men to be, well, I wouldn't say expected. They don't require the leadership role. They either require him to be a friend, a partner, uh, a guy with good D, a guy to be a servant, depending on his looks. And with the Derrick Jaxn situation, I mean, it just, if he's good looking, got six figures, um, cash man, it's expected that he's going to be unfaithful. He's not going to be a leader. He could do whatever he wants, and it's okay. Meanwhile, the guy who is less attractive, all he had to be required to do is be either a servant or be the money man. All these other traits, leadership, faithfulness, honor, honor, it's not really required. So both guys are not required to do any of that. Now, for some, it's expected, but then that's expected later on down the line. You can't, you have to, when you're talking about expectation, that's a belief, but nobody's going to share in your belief. Now, she was trying to say, well, the man should just be a leader. I said, yeah, for himself, but not for you, because if you don't require it, nine times, 9 times out of 10, he's just not going to do it. Not for you, because you don't require it. That's the part of setting standards. Standards is requirements. Requirements is something that is expressed. If you don't express it, it's not 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be done. The guy who can be a leader, he probably not going to do it. Now, does that mean he's going to treat you badly? No. He's going to play the role that you require of him. Now, the ones who ain't going to do it at all, they're probably just not going to do it at all and just leave you alone. If that is what you require, or they'll play the role for a bit, but then the true colors going to come out. But it's still something that you require, not something that's expected. Because you may expect that, but other women don't. I mean, the theme around, especially these spaces, uh, some of the females, they don't expect anything from black males anymore. So when you have that going around, plus you have the media, they're expecting males to either be dogs or just be servants to women. What you think, if you expect him to be a leader, you think he's going to be a leader off the bat? No. You expecting him to be faithful off the bat? No. You expecting him to have honor? No. Because even this world don't require him to be any of those things. So if you want a man to be a leader, you want a man to be faithful, you want a man to be honorable, you have to require it. You can't expect it. It's not the 50s, 60s, and 70s anymore. It's not something that's required by a lot of females. So they're not going to do it. Now, does that mean they might treat you badly? Some might. But because you did not require it, they're not going to do it. And you can't blame them for that. The fault lies with you as a woman. If you don't require a man to be a leader, if you don't require a man to be faithful, you don't require a man to be honorable, you don't require him to be a protector and a provider, then you're not going to get it. Even if he's playing the role, still, if you don't require it, you're not going to get it. And that goes the same for the men. If you don't require a woman to be, what's the equivalent? To be a follower, you don't require her to be faithful, you don't require her to be honorable, then you're not going to get it either. See, people expect things from people but they don't require it of them. And you want to know why people don't require it? Because in reality, if they were, most of these people wouldn't want them. Now let's take it back to Derrick Jaxn. And there was a lot of guys who were saying, well, she should expect. Hold up. That's your belief. That's not your requirement. See, a lot of guys expect women to just accept they're going to cheat. They're not going to be faithful with their bodies. You know, that's a belief, but it's not a requirement. A lot of these guys don't require that of women because they know if they require it, most of these women are not going to stay with them because they don't have something that that woman could in trade for being the guy who go around and get multiple women. They have nothing to trade. Like I told one guy a couple of days ago, I told him, I said, look, if you want to go around and be with multiple women at the same time and still have that wife at home, you have to require that. It's not something that's expected. It's not the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You have to require that. Otherwise, yeah, yeah, you can do that if you got money, but she can also take you to court. And then now you're like, ooh, why is she doing that? I've been taking care of her. Ooh, I'm a man. I'm like, no, bro. You have to require that. Men who's able to pull that off, they require that of the woman. And she has a choice. Either she accept it or she don't. Now let's go back to the women. Well, this dude's cheating on me, and I expect him to be only faithful to me. I expected him to have a job and all that. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. You expecting? Did you require him to have a job? Did you require him to be faithful? Did you require all this? No, that's what. But he's a man. No, no, no. Did you require him to have all that? And the answer is going to be no. So again, it goes back to requirement versus expectation. If you require something of someone, they have a choice. Either they're going to do it or they're not. So if you don't make that a requirement, if you don't make that a standard and make that be known, then nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to show that side of themselves. There are a lot of guys who can be great leaders. But the problem is a lot of females don't require that of them. They require them to be a partner. They require them to be a money man, or they require them to be the friend, someone to be a shoulder to cry on, someone to lift that box, someone to protect them in the middle of the night. But they don't require them to be a leader. They don't require them to be faithful or honorable. So they're not going to do it. And so as long as you don't require that of men, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it. They're not going to show you that side. Because again, they're humans. Humans are only going to do what they're required to do. If you don't require it, they're not going to do it. It's just like if you go to work, and I've been guilty of this too. You may come in 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late. Shoot, I've come in late like 6 days straight, 30 minutes late every day. Nobody say anything. It got so bad people was thinking, oh, they're gonna get you in trouble. Said nobody said nothing to me, so long as they ain't say nothing, because it's not a requirement. People are going to do what is required of them. If you require it and if they love you enough and they respect you enough, they're going to do it without I would say without resentment, without feeling obligated. And you can tell who really wants to do it out of their own heart, or there's something they're doing because of an obligation, and that's always going to pan out. But if you do not require that and you're expecting, good luck to you. So, in closing, if you want something of someone, you're going to have to require it. This is not the 50s, 60s, and 70s. If you want a man to be a leader, to be faithful, to be honorable, to be the provider, protector, all these things that you require of a man, you're going to have to let them know. This is not the 50s, 60s, and 70s, ladies. This is 2021. And unfortunately, too many of your sisters don't require a man to be men. They require everything else but these characteristics: leadership, faithfulness, honor. So, ladies, if you want that type of man, you're going to have to require, and you got to let them know from the jump and stand on it. Otherwise, you get what you get. Well, that's it for the brothers for Brother Speak. I'm done with this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later.